Hello everyone, what's up? My name is Kyle. I make reactions to movies and TV shows. I had originally planned on doing episode 3 directly after episode 2, but like the second that I stopped recording, life happened. So we're actually a few hours in the future now, and let's get back into Dune. Dun. Like if you want to leave a comment down below, and full version along with polls and early reactions is in the description. Let's get to some spicy things. The Golden Path. I am still not sure what this Golden Path is. I feel like it was explained at some point and I wasn't paying attention.
Fed by Alia's brutal tyranny and repression, unable to recognize the forces conspiring against her, unaware of the whirlwind, sweeping towards her across the desert.
I'm honestly surprised she's still alive.
Who's gonna explain this to me?
I thought for sure she would die by the end of episode 2.
You simple fools. Rebel alliances are being formed by tribes to the south, and now we have anarchy in the streets of Arrakeen.
Ugh,
Perhaps you should rest, my lady.
Why did you send that lovely boy away?
I'm not in the mood to indulge your lurid perversions tonight. Is that so?
Don't forget, child, I'm not really here.
Go away! Go away!
I do kind of feel bad for Alia, though. Like, I mean, what's happening to her is not by choice.
She'll have to make it appear as if we arranged the whole thing.
We should refuse them safe harbor.
Perhaps we should think of Lady Jessica's visit as an endowment, not a threat.
Any woman who can seduce Duke Leto, Atreides, and a planet of desert Fremen is not to be trifled with.
Are you suggesting she might try to seduce me?
I think she's suggesting she already has.
Don't play the fool, Brad.
Surprised that they would come here.
Leto.
Okay, so she survived. Because I was worried. Like, she hit her head pretty freaking hard. There's no way Leto is dead. Right? No, it's not happening. Right? Does she think Leto is dead? I mean, I don't think he is, but does she think he is?
May the wind strip the flesh from your bones.
Okay, yeah, not dead. He did get away.
May Shai Hulud clear the path before you, and we meet again.
Oh. Okay, so they're separating. Going for some exfoliation there, dude?
My skin is not my own. The Golden Path is dangerous, son. It's the choice I couldn't take.
Is that a worm or just a storm? You know, we still haven't explored, like, why was... when Cecilia took that worm off-world, what are they doing with that? We still really haven't done anything with that.
Jakarutu.
Ooh, okay. The Forbidden Siege. Did, Irulan? Is that Irulan? Did they find her?
We've confirmed that it was Ghanima's knife that killed Alim Basha.
We found a transceiver implanted in a tiger's neck.
And we also found this in a desert. Should I arrange transport to the palace?
No.
Yeah, you can't go back there.
Whoever will benefit from the death of these children will not rest until they're sure they've succeeded.
Also, Alia is kind of nuts. Okay, so we finally made it to the place that they've been talking in their dreams back and forth, Paul and Leto. This must be a special place of some kind. Oh, are those makers? Oh, sand trap.
That's right, Atreides. Don't be foolish.
Oh, crap. Sedative? or tranquilizer. I mean, he's not dead. Who are these people?
They left our priest's body where we would be sure to find it.
They carved blasphemy into his skin, my lady. Horrible, profane curses about you and your family. The obscenities of desert rebels, Holiness.
An example must be made. No mercy.
What is she gonna do? Listen, we know they have like stone burners, and the books made mention of things called atomics. Does she have weapons of mass destruction that she can unleash on these people? There's only so much the Fremen are gonna take, right? Before they just go into complete open revolt? Oh. Well, that does not look great.
You will be Leto, son of Muad'Dib. Drink.
What is that?
I warn you, any attempt at witchery shall result in immediate execution. But why should we risk sheltering fugitives from the Imperium?
Who says that we are fugitives?
Several Fremen tribes are known to be in open revolt against the Kisrit.
My grandchildren will prevent that.
Not if they're dead. It seems your grandchildren have been the victims of a well-planned assassination plot.
Yeah, I'm sure you love hating, or you hate giving this news.
We have reason to believe Alia herself may have planned the killings.
That isn't possible.
I don't think Jessica believes them.
Events on Arrakis are spinning wildly out of control to Alia's reach. And you can protect me from her madness.
Oh, she thinks that Alia won't do anything as long as Jessica is there.
You want me to teach him as the Bene Gesserit are taught?
An offer I could not resist.
Your Mendat is conspicuous by his silence.
One must be careful to evaluate who has the advantage.
Stilgar refuses to allow Ghanima to travel, saying her safety cannot be guaranteed.
Which it can't be guaranteed.
Time to pay Stilgar a visit.
I am their guardian, Alia.
Are you suggesting she wouldn't be safe at the palace with me?
I am demanding that she not be used as a pawn in a civil war.
Holding Ghanima against the Imperial Regent's will could be considered abduction. I surrender Ghanima to the Imperial Regent.
Doesn't Ghanima have, like, a say in this matter?
Forgive me, Irulan. I may have placed you in grave danger.
Irulan's kind of used to that by now. Seriously, what is this green gunk that they are feeding him? Looks like baby food just a little bit past its expiration date.
Keep feeding him. Deeper the tracks.
Oh,
more dangerous the tracks.
Are they feeding him spice like Alia was doing in the episode 2? So they're trying to force him to do the same, or force the same thing that happened to Alia.
That spice essence!
Are you crazy yet? Like your aunt?
Who does that frighten you?
Alright, so whoever these guys are, they're definitely not trying to help him, that's for sure. Oh my god. That's a contrast. We've seen very little green in this movie. It's strange to see it all of a sudden. Oh, and all the worms are dead. What the heck was that? Did he just roar? Like a worm?
You're breeding sand trout. I've seen the holding pens. None of your worms survive long away from Dune.
Not yet.
Not ever. I have survived the Crucible, Sabiha.
Oh, he's using the voice. Is he gonna, like, feed some of himself to them? Ew, okay, what's happening? Or become a part of him. Oh, hell, if this man turns into a worm, I swear to God, if this man turns into a frickin' worm, that would be a lot.
You and I both confront the greatest danger from those closest to us. You have a daughter. I have a son in whom I have little confidence. Simply consider the union of opposites.
Oh, she wants her son to marry her granddaughter. Yep.
Alia has taken her from Stilgar, but Irulan is with her.
Get to the point, Sincere.
An alliance. Carino and Atreides, under your tutelage.
Yeah, but you think that your son is easily manipulated.
He has his talents, and he's a fast learner, as you say.
She wants to rule by proxy.
You really think Alia will agree to a marriage between Ghanima and Farad?
So I'm getting the, distinction that if Ghanima marries Farad'n would be emperor, right? This is still a patriarchal system, which I don't get because, clearly the women are in control. Alia is in control. Ghanima is in control. Jessica is in control. Irulan is in control. Screw the guys.
I should have you executed for what you did. Why did you come back here? I played no part in your decision. You can't remain at the keep. They're difficult days, Duncan.
I don't sense any love lost here. Have they just completely... I don't think they like each other anymore.
I've missed you.
Oh, well, okay, never mind. You know what? I think he still loves her, but I just think he can't stand to see what's become of her. Okay, so that's definitely a storm. That's not a worm. Ew! What the hell's happening to his hand? You guys know how I feel about scabs.
I will not fear. Fear is the mind killer. I will face my fear. I will let it pass through me. I will not fear. I will not fear.
So he's becoming a worm. Is that it? He said the only thing that doesn't fear the storm are worms. He's got the scaly skin happening. Okay, well he's still growing those scaly things, which I really don't like, but he's not a worm yet. He survived at least. Also, acting chops to James McAvoy to allow himself to be completely covered in sand.
My skin is not my own.
I have a feeling my skin is not my own is going to be like the new golden path. And I don't know what they mean, but I'm going with it.
You cannot remain neutral any longer, Stilgar. You must ally your tribe with the rebel forces.
Never.
She's gone. Lost to the evil that possesses her, and as long as you refuse to believe it, you wear its collar.
But I swear, if you provoke me further, I will have your water.
Duncan, you're gonna have to do something to force his hand. Oh, hello, Paul, not Paul.
Your guide has released the worm.
You made it stop. The worm obeyed your command. They say Leto Atreides is dead.
A myth I have allowed to persist until I'm ready.
For what?
Okay, so that's why he kind of went into hiding. Because he's hiding.
This is your ring, Father.
Listen, this guy may have Paul's face, may even have some of his memories, but I don't think this is Paul. Paul died a long time ago. This is the madman that replaced him.
This thing you've done to yourself.
I am a desert creature. There's only one way to bring about the golden path.
You cannot control the future.
So I have chosen. To make a world where humankind can create its own future from moment to moment. And free of future predetermined.
Which is ironic since you are technically pre-born.
But how many nights I have gone to sleep on the cold floor of the siege, dreaming of his arms around me, sheltering me from everything I was afraid of, everything I could not understand.
Many of the old siege communities are becoming overrun with refugees.
The Holy Regent demands that you abandon your pledge of neutrality.
She knows she cannot make such a demand on me.
Or on any other name. Are you with the Empire? Or against it? Or perhaps the royal consort can talk some sense into this obstinate fool.
I can do better than that.
Oh, crap.
Cuckold thanks you for this opportunity. Stilgar will now make his choice.
When I said force his hand, this is not what I meant.
You have defiled the honor of my people.
No, don't kill. Oh, come on. I like Duncan.
He forced our hand. Now, Alia will be forced to move against us.
Oh, because Stilgar killed Duncan, she's gonna... Yeah, she's gonna be pissed. So that was Duncan's plan.
He was my husband.
Let them be hunted down like desert rabbits.
Yes, kill them.
Ooh, okay, Leto's coming back into the light.
I've been waiting on you, Gurney Halleck. We're in the desert, sheltered once, sheltered always. Another rebellion awaits you, Gurney Halleck.
My loyalty is to House Atreides.
Well, I am House Atreides.
Okay.
What have you done to yourself?
Yeah, it's like, it's going up his neck now.
Accepted a destiny, nothing more. I am desert power. And nothing can stop what is going to happen.
Oh crap, he don't even need a thumper anymore. He is a thumper, okay. Is it just one, or is he calling like all of them? Well, he don't even need the thingies to ride them anymore. He just like gliding on them. Wencesla's looking a little bit up on her high horse here. Someone knock her off it.
We offer our deepest condolences on the loss of your brother. Perhaps the union of our houses can put an end to the treachery that took his life.
Unfortunately, he's not dead, so... What?
What did you say?
I am ashamed to say that the animals that killed Leto, son of Muad'Dib, were created and trained on my planet. She planned it. How dare you? I'll dare quite a few things from now on, Mother.
Oh...
I forbid you to say another word.
You forbid nothing. My mother is to be stripped of all accounts and privileges of the House Carino.
They may kill her.
And you can spend the rest of your days pondering that in utter darkness.
Is the marriage still gonna happen? I mean, this is quite the revelation.
I knew nothing of the plot against him until it was too late.
How can you believe that, though?
This is my wedding present to you. I have nothing else.
Okay, so she believes him. Which, I mean... He does have a very kind voice, I'll give him that. Like, he is believable. We've seen this guy quite a few times now, haven't we? This can only mean that he's up to very, very, very bad things. It's a pretty dress. You know, I think I said it before, but the outfits in this one are just much more tame.
Gani.
Do as I say.
Leto?
No need for that with me, Ghanima.
Oh, she's gonna be so happy!
Our plan worked.
You're alive.
It's nice to see him smile again. Like I said before, two halves of the same coin.
I'm sorry, Ghanima.
You know, whoever cast them did it well. They could be brother and sister.
The only way that I could start what must now be finished.
Who Muad'Dib! Forsaken its ways, we have succumbed to mindless ritual, all in the name of righteousness!
He really hates everything that his name has become, doesn't he? Oh, she came out into the crowd.
Only one blasphemy remains, and that blasphemy is Alia!
Oh god, are they gonna kill her? Is this gonna be like mob-style justice, vigilante kind of stuff?
Forgive me. Sister.
Oh, I knew it. I knew that guy was no good. I wonder if this is gonna be the thing that pushes Alia completely over the edge into like complete madness. Seeing Paul die. Oh, it's Leto. Oh, this is so sad, because he was saying how all he wanted was for Paul to hold him when he was a kid, and now he's holding him while Paul dies.
Son.
There's that roar again. Well, this is crashing a wedding taken to the extreme. Here we go. Ghanima's very proud of herself at this moment.
Return from the desert to announce Sakhan Abai. To rid humanity of the perversions done in Muad'Dib's name. Seize him!
Ooh, yeah, okay, they don't stand a chance. He going all taekwondo on their asses. Oh, Alia, don't do this.
The time has come, Aunt.
Just step down. Are you capable of just stepping down?
We must face the future.
Sorry, bitch.
Oh, God.
Bene Gesserit whore. I have her daughter. Your precious Alia is mine.
Mommy. Help me.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Yes, do it. Sink it in. Bathe our hands in his hot blood.
Alright, Alia, come on, make one last good decision. This has got to be hard to watch for Jessica. Especially considering that Jessica was the reason that she was preborn. How are they going to wrap all this up in like a few minutes? Right? We are very close to the end. Damn sci-fi for not making more of these. Listen, Jessica, I don't think you should leave. Because bad things happen when you leave Arrakis.
Dear friend.
Screw Kaladin. Kaladin doesn't really need you. Is that the water of life?
Alia's water.
Oh.
Take it into the desert and spread it upon the open sand in the midday sun. We always arise from our own ashes.
So
everything returns later in its changed form.
It's like going up his face and now his teeth are changing? I think you're about to change form.
Your grandfather's ring.
And now the Fremens. To remind you of Muad'Dib. To remind you that all humans make mistakes.
Good lesson. Good lesson. So he's not going to be emperor. He's going back out into the desert. And Ghanima and Farad will be the rulers.
He runs and runs and runs. And when he's exhausted himself, he returns to me.
Oh, they were setting so much
there
up.
There is a place for me in this future.
Your blood was spared the day Leto came back to me. As my mother was not wife, you shall never be husband. But in time there may be love, which is more than my brother will have.
See, there's a big circular thing going on here. Like, things repeat themselves a lot in this universe.
The agony. He was always the stronger. A chapter has ended, swept away by the whirlwind. One door has closed, but another has opened.
The saga of Dune continues. I'm sad that it's over. Thank you for coming on this adventure with me through Dune and Children of Dune. Unfortunately, it has come to an end. I definitely still plan on reading the books, and let me know if you want me to. I know it's like out of my wheelhouse, but let me know if you want me to actually do like reviews of the books when I'm done with each of them, and I might even do that just to like keep this going, because this was such a good series, and I'm really sad that now all I have left is the books, because I know that this doesn't continue at all. Fingers crossed, and here's hoping that the revival of Dune in a few months on the big screen will spark some further interest in it. But yeah, we're done. Let's go over everything, because we have a lot to go over. The first thing I want to talk about is I feel like there was so much. I feel like there was so much that they were trying to pack into this. What was this? This was 4 hours, I think. 5 hours? 4? I'm not sure. I think it is 4 hours. Yeah, 4.5 hours. So I think there was just so much that they were trying to pack into this, because there were some storylines that seemed to have been abandoned or made vague by the end of the movie. So the first one I would say is, what the heck happened with the worm on Silicis Secundus? I think is how you say that. What happened to that worm? Where did it go? Did it die? Because Leto had made a mention of the worms not surviving very long after they're taken away from Dune. So did that worm die, or is it still there? What's going on? And then I think that they kind of brought it up, but they never really went into detail with it. There was like, they kind of suggested that the war or civil war or the, I guess, conquest of Muad'Dib had gone farther than Arrakis. You know, at the very beginning of the first episode, it was very much suggested that Paul was like waging some kind of crusade or holy war all over the known universe. But the entire movie did very much take place on just Arrakis, with a little bit of time on SS. I know they call it SS in the book, so I'm just going to call it SS now. So I would have loved to have seen like what the heck was going on with that holy war. Was it maybe just over with by the time the second episode came around? Yeah, I don't know. And then another thing that I was very interested in was, in the first episode, they had the guild that was present on Arrakis and the Bene Gesserit Reverend Mother who was present. And like in the end of the first episode, they really cleared the board. They killed the guild representative, and I guess not even representative. It was a guild member. Like it was one of the just like morphed creatures dudes that was, you know, responsible for space travel. So that was interesting. And then they killed the Bene Gesserit Reverend Mother. So you would think that those actions would have had like really reverberating consequences. So it's interesting that they didn't go into detail in like what those consequences were. But again, I think it was just because, I mean, even in the 4.5 hour time span that we got, they had a lot to pack in. I don't think there was any part of this movie that you would say was not necessary, except for one, which I will talk about later. There was one tiny part that I think wasn't necessary. They just probably didn't have time to pack in anything about the Bene Gesserit witches or anything about what was going on with the guild or the crusade. some open-ended questions. So these aren't like forgotten storylines. I think these were just very open-ended. I very much feel like they were planning to make more and something stopped them, because they set up a whole lot of open-ended storylines. The first one I would think is, what's going on with Ghanima? Is she going to become like the Empress of Dune? Is she going to be more like a regent like Alia was? What is her relationship with Ferrardin? I'm trying to say these names. What is her relationship with him? Is it just as simple as the movie presented it, where he is going to be like her concubine or what the heck is the male term of mistress? Mister? I don't know. So what's going on there? Is Leto not going to be the emperor? I don't think he's going to be the emperor. From the feeling I got, Leto is going out into the desert to do something called the Golden Path, which this series really presumes that you know. I got no idea what the Golden Path is. Don't anyone tell me, because I am sure the books go into detail on what the heck it is, but Leto is going out into the desert to do something called the Golden Path. I think he's going to turn into a worm. I don't know if it's going to be like a full-size worm, because he's kind of a small boy, but I think he's going to turn into a worm because he's got like the scales going on and his teeth are starting to become like real pointy. So that would have been an interesting thing for them to put on TV if he actually did transform into a worm. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure what's going on with Leto, and I'm not even entirely sure that Ghanima is going to become the Queen Regent or the Empress or whatever, because Leto gave the Fremen the Duke's ring, and I was almost wondering if that wasn't like the movie's symbolic way of saying that the Atreides were going to stop trying to rule Arrakis and leave it to the Fremen, and that would be like the more natural way of things to return to the desert. So maybe there is no House Atreides anymore, or maybe House Atreides is just going to go back to Caladan. Ghanima is just staying on Arrakis because she is a Fremen, but the Fremen are going to be the ones in control. I'm not sure. So that was another open-ended question that this really left. But nonetheless, I still loved it. I love that it asked all those open-ended questions. I don't know about anyone else. I am worried. I love that in 2 months' time, I'm going to be able to watch another Dune movie. So happy. But at the same point, I am worried because Dune, the miniseries, had 4.5 hours, and I think they still cut a lot out. If you compare Dune, the miniseries, to the 84 Dune, you can see just how much stuff they were able to put in the miniseries versus Dune because of the time. And the fact that the new movie that's coming out is not only a singular movie, and I don't know its runtime yet, if it's 2 hours or 3 hours long, but it's also a big box office movie. So what worries me is that I feel like throughout Dune and Children of Dune, the main theme of these miniseries, of this series in general, is not big action scenes. It's not space battles. It's not people staring each other down and acting all aggressive, which I feel like a big box office movie is going to do. The theme of the story is just these characters subtly moving around each other in very calculated ways. There is a huge theme of predetermination, and I don't know how how accepting the general audience of a box office movie is going to be of that kind of tone of you can't really control your future, because that was a big thing. If I understand this book series and this miniseries and even the 84 movie correctly. Like what Leto is doing, Leto the second, by the way. Whenever I say Leto, I'm referring to Leto the second. What Leto is doing is he's trying to create his own future. He's trying to basically say screw fate, because Leto and Ghanima and Alia, they were all preborn, so like they could see the future, and Paul could see the future as well, and they were trapped by it. Like I did say that right at the beginning of the very first episode, was that a big theme in this series is being trapped by your own fate, by your own future. So even if you don't necessarily like something, you can't really get away from it or get around it. And you see that in other ways too, because I mean, like, the whole purpose of the Bene Gesserit breeding and the whole purpose of the mentats and of like the spice is to try and see the future and see into the future, and try to make some kind of attempt to know what it holds, but not necessarily to shape it or to change it. I don't know. I feel like a lot of movies today, they don't like the idea of predetermination. It's not a theme that really gets talked about in movies because everyone has to be able to make their own fate. And I feel like the movie is just not going to go towards that route. Another thing that I'm worried about with the movie, and I brought this up in the Dune miniseries, and I brought it up at the beginning of Children of Dune too, when I learned like what Paul was doing with his crusade. In the Dune miniseries, Paul had kind of a dictator attitude. Like he was power hungry. He was very, very power hungry. And I don't know if the movie is going to want to do that. Make Paul out to be not a good guy, but not a bad guy either. We will see. Maybe I'm counting way too many chickens before they hatch. I'm worried. Is anyone else worried that like the movie that's going to come out in a couple of months is just not going to live up to expectation? I don't know. So now let's talk about the characters, because this was definitely a very character driven series. And not only was it very character driven, I think it was either at the end of the Dune miniseries or the first episode of the Children of Dune miniseries, that there was like a hint of misogyny in the movie or in the series. But I think that the second and third episode of Children of Dune really put a lot of that to rest, because the women in this series were really the ones who were in control. Don't get me wrong, Leto was doing some stuff out on his own in the desert, and there's definitely an implication that Leto is going to have much more of a role in the series going forward. But in, I think the second episode was called The Children, and the third episode was called The Golden Path. In both of those episodes, like, the women were the ones doing shit. So let's talk about them. First, we have Irulan. Irulan surprised me because, in the 84 movie, she barely exists. I think in the 84 movie, she's in a few scenes, and we see her at the very beginning in the prologue bit. In the Dune miniseries, she was kind of conniving, and not in like a bad way, so I guess not conniving, very calculating. I mean, a lot of the women in this show were very, very calculating in how they behaved and what they did. So I was surprised when we met Irulan in the second episode and how much her character had changed, because Irulan in episode 1, not gonna lie, didn't particularly like her. I really liked Chani, and it's not out of the woods to say that the reason that Chani died was because of the actions Irulan took. Like, the reason that Chani died was because she had to take so much spice to get pregnant. The reason she had to take so much spice to get pregnant was because Irulan gave her some kind of birth control. So in that regard, I was like, Irulan, girl, the fuck? But I think that all just lends towards, again, predetermination. Like Leto and Ghanima, they were going to be born. They were going to be born and they were going to be preborn, and there was nothing that anyone could do to stop it. So the choices that Irulan took were always going to happen, but that doesn't necessarily absolve her of those choices either. But then when we meet her in the second episode with the children, I thought that she was going to be just as calculating as she was in the Dune miniseries and in the first episode of Children of Dune, and that the reason that she was kind of like cozying up to the children was because she saw them as her way to stay important, because the children were obviously important. So by being a good stepmother to them and being close to them, she would remain in some kind of proxy power. And I think that was some of it. I do think that was probably part of her calculation. But at the same time, I don't think that that was all of it. I think that Irulan generally cared for Leto and Ghanima, and that she did want the best for House Atreides. I just think that Alia was no longer the best for House Atreides, and Irulan was capable of recognizing that. Then we have probably the most standout character in this entire miniseries for me, and that was Jessica. Wow. So, no offense to the actress that played Jessica in the Dune miniseries, but the actress that plays Jessica in Children of Dune blew it out of the water. She was amazing. The way that she sold the intense thinking that Jessica was doing behind every single word she said, while still portraying her as soft and emotional and kind and generous, was just like, wow. Like, you could really tell in the scenes, because I've said this a couple of times now. I'm reading the books Dune, and in the Dune books, Jessica is very like in her head and always thinking about things, and kind of similar to the 84 movie, we're hearing Jessica's thoughts quite a bit in the book. And this actress in Children of Dune was able to get that across, that even though Jessica might be saying some things, or she might be completely silent, and she might be very like stout and braced, that doesn't mean that she's not thinking like 10,000 miles a minute. And this actress was able to really get that across. But at the same time, she was still able to portray this very like kind, motherly figure through Jessica that was worried about her children, that was worried about the situations that were happening on Arrakis. Like that scene, I still can't get over that scene where Jessica and Irulan are sitting next to each other and they're having that like hand conversation. That was just like amazing. So I really think that this Jessica was a complete standout. Then we have Alia. So Alia's character was really sad for me, but I think they wrote her incredibly well, because I think it would have been easy for them to have Alia wake up one day and she sees the Baron, and I don't know, within the span of like a half hour, 20 minutes, she becomes completely insane and evil. But they did something better, and this could be because of the great source material they had to draw on, which is they took her from nice to insane to crazy in a very slow, subtle way, and they had concrete steps to getting her there. It's very clear that Alia feels this giant weight on her shoulders because of how extensive the legacy of Paul was. And, she wants to have the same visions and kind of like connection with the universe that Paul has. So she keeps taking more and more and more spice, even though it's not good for her, even though she knows the risk that it's going to present. And, I was very worried for Alia, so I think this says something about the way the character was written. I was worried at the end of the first episode that they were going to kill Alia. So the fact that I was worried about her before she becomes evil makes you kind of sympathize with her more, in my opinion. So then, she doesn't die. She becomes the Queen Regent. But even then, it's still a slow descent downwards. First, she, starts hearing voices, and she eventually does give in to the Baron. And that end scene where she's like writhing on the floor, and I think it was just kind of like icing on the cake to the conversation that her and Jessica had when Jessica first arrived on Arrakis. Because, Alia says to her, it's like, why do you do this? I love you, but I hate you. You did this to me. Why? And like I said, when Alia was going to kill herself, Jessica must have felt horrible, because Jessica did take the water of life, which made Alia preborn. So Jessica, in essence, made this happen to her own daughter. So I think Jessica felt really bad. And I think that was just like, I think that really capped the character. And it was like, she had no choice. This was always going to happen to her. And it made her story just a little bit more sad, that the only action she could take in the end was to kill herself. Like, there was no helping her. There was no undoing the possession. She had to die. Ghanima was one of the few characters that wasn't really developed. I would say that Ghanima and Leto were kind of developed together. Leto was developed more on his own after they separated in the desert, but otherwise Ghanima and Leto were very much, as I said, two sides of the same coin. When I talk about them or think about them, I kind of have to think about them as the same. One thing I think the movie really did well was highlighting that they were different from everyone else, because at the beginning they were very childlike. They were laughing, they were giggling, they were finishing each other's sentences, walking hand in hand. Their emotions seemed to be in lockstep with each other, and because it was kind of different than the other characters around them, it helped to highlight that they themselves were different, because Alia and Jessica, they were all just like serious and and Gar, whereas you had those two that, like I said, they were very funny. They were kind of childlike with each other. You could tell that they were thinking about things at the same time. So yeah, Ghanima didn't have as much character development as the rest of them. And Leto, I don't think he had a whole lot of character development either. Leto was very much a force. Like, he was driving a lot of the plot that was backing him up, if that makes sense. So anyways, like I said, this was my reaction. Oh, and the one thing I will say that I don't know if it was necessary for this miniseries was Paul being brought back after the first episode. So when he was wandering out into the desert at the end of the first episode, I was kind of like, okay, so Paul is no more. He has died. I was suspicious because, like I said, when you don't see these people die, you always have to wonder, are they actually dead? But when they did bring him back, I'm just not sure how much his character contributed to the story or if he was necessary. I mean, I think that every other action that the other characters took would have been just as believable had Paul not been there. The revolution happening against Alia would have been just as believable, even if Paul hadn't kind of like mixed up things in the town square. The only reason I can think that he was included to such a degree in the last two episodes was that it's in the books and they didn't want to deviate from the source material that much. But I just don't know if they included a good enough reason for him to be there. I have to assume that the books go into much more detail about why Paul is still there. Although I will say that he was a very sad character because it wasn't Paul. Paul died at the end of episode 1, and this creature that came back from the desert was a sad, broken man, unfortunately. But it did, I will say, highlight the continued predetermination of every character and how they are trapped by it. This was my reaction to Dune, all of it. Go check it out now. If you're seeing this, that means that the Dune miniseries is up. That means the 84 version is up. And when the movie comes out, I will definitely take a look at that. That might be just more of a review. I doubt that that'll be like a first time watching type situation. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that I did this series some justice by watching it. Go buy these. Like, seriously. Just go buy these. I don't have the Dune DVD set in here anymore, but they are so good. I do realize that these are kind of hard to find. I couldn't find new ones. I had to buy used ones. Maybe they'll go back into making them after the movie comes out. Who knows? Like if you want to like. Leave a comment down below. I had a lot to say there at the end, so let me know what you think. And full version, early reactions, and polls are in the description. Otherwise, I will talk to you guys later. The saga of Dune is far from over.